Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to be planting bulbs in my garden, talking to you a bit about how you can get longer seasons of blooms and flowers in your garden and in your gardening season. And we're also going to give you a little bit of a spring update and tour here on the channel and on the farm. We have some new things happening, coming, and we're just going to give you a sneak peek into spring here on the homestead. So these are my bob white quail, and I've had them for about a year, but they've never really done anything besides just live here. And they're super pretty, but recently, this past week, we got some exciting new things happening with them. So look right there, guys. We have just started getting some bob white quail eggs. And they are super small. The palm of my hand. That's a normal. This is a fresh one. Just laid today. I think only one's laying because there's an accumulation of only 6 eggs. So I think there's only 1 or 2 quail that are laying. But they're not fertile, I don't think, because I haven't seen much breeding going on with these birds. That could be a couple different reasons. I might not just be out here often enough to see them, but I'm going to leave these out here anyway, just to permit the chances of them laying them in here instead of somewhere else. Eggs in the incubator are about to hatch. They have 1 day left on the timer, and I'm not seeing too much movement yet, but hopefully within the next 24 hours we'll start to see some peeps hatching out. And the plants that we moved over in the previous video are also looking really strong and healthy. If you want to watch that video, I'll have it linked at the end. It's the latest video up on my channel, but it teaches you guys how to transplant these tomatoes and also how to make your own seed starter mix. If you've never done that before, you can use my recipe in that video. Flower garden is looking good. I'm excited to grow the things in it this year. If you haven't watched the video of all the things that I'm growing, that is also off my channel. I'll try to have that linked at the end as well. But today I want to show you the new additions to the garden. I added 2 new bulb beds, and over here I have my tulip bed, which no blooms. I don't know if they'll bloom or not. I've never done bulbs before, never done tulips, but there's still time for them, I think. But today we are going to be planting in one of these tires, this tire over here, we're going to be planting glads. They're white gladiolas. There's 15 bulbs in here, and I'm going to put them in this tire because this tire over here already has a mixed variety of glads. So join me as I plant bulbs and talk a little bit about my idea with bulbs and what I'm going to do with them. So, gladiolas, I have another area over here that I have them planted, but these should come up in the mid-late summer, I'm pretty sure. So getting these in now, it's not a huge deal, but I know it's recommended that when you are planting bulbs, you should plant them in the early spring or mid to late fall. But the way you plant bulbs is you want to go to the side that the roots would come out of, plant that down. It's pretty basic. These are the top parts, and that's where the shoot, the flower, everything will come out. Now there's 15 in here, so I'm going to try to space them out relatively even while I talk to you guys about what I want to do for bulbs in this garden. So last year was my first year growing flowers in here, and I really enjoyed everything that I planted. But the thing with everything that I planted, they're all annuals. So if I ever wanted to do this as a business, the prime time for flowers is like, you know, let's just say you want to produce flowers for Mother's Day. Well, annuals don't go in until after Mother's Day. That's the seed. That's not even the plant. Even the flowers aren't coming up until the end of the season. So you've missed your point of prime opportunity for those flowers to come up. But that's fine because there's a lot of other ways that you can grow flowers early. So we just got a greenhouse, but that still doesn't mean I'll be able to grow flowers just quite yet. I could start them earlier and then put them out into the garden, but I just really enjoy direct sowing and seeing where nature takes it. But that is an option for me now that I do have a greenhouse. So other ideas and things that I can do is adding and planting more bulbs like this, and that just gives me a different variety of plants, and it gives you a different amount of time when they'll be available, when their seasons are. So if I do it according, I could get flowers throughout a whole season, whereas before I was getting flowers from July, August, and September, 3 months available to me. I could be getting flowers as soon as April or May, depending upon what I plant, when I plant them, all those things. So taking that into consideration, I'm enjoying planting bulbs right now because I think it's going to be the new opportunity for me to get sooner blooms rather than waiting a really long time for my annuals to come up. But that's not the only thing that you have to plant. Don't restrict yourself to specific bulbs. You can also plant other things called hardy annuals. Now, I've never done hardy annuals, but basically the thought process is it's not a perennial. It's not going to come up every single year like a perennial does. Now, you can put perennials in your garden, but you're going to have them forever. That's the purpose of them. So with that in mind, I would prefer not to put those in my garden because I don't want to be stuck with one specific plant. I want to have options. I want to experiment with things before I settle on a specific variety. So, taking bulbs, I'm putting them in a specific place instead of my whole garden bed and letting it take over. Annuals, they go 1 year, they're done. I pull the plant, I don't have to grow them again if I don't want to. If I want to, sure, then I'll grow them again. But with perennials, they just grow every single year, back, unless you pull the plant, of course. But the thing with hardy annuals is they're annuals that are a bit more winter frost resistant. They actually do better in colder climates. So when we're talking about hardy annuals, let's give you some specifics of sweet peas, snapdragons, things like those actually are tolerant to that cold weather. They actually grow better because of it. So it's the same thing with lettuce, and it's the same thing with your cabbages and your broccolis and your Brussels sprouts. They all do just a bit better with that little bit of cold. It just helps them grow bigger, grow stronger. The thing with hardy annuals is I could plant them in the fall and they'll overwinter, and they actually start growing with that cold, and then once that cold freezes off, they get like a spurt, and then they start growing earlier than what my annuals would. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to have flowers in April, because obviously hardy annuals aren't going to start blooming until maybe May or June. That really depends on your area, your zone, and your weather. But for me, it would be probably June, but that's earlier than what my annuals are doing. My annuals are just being planted at the end of May. So I'm still waiting till July, August, September till I'm getting blooms. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to take on an experiment with some hardy annuals this year, and I'll take you guys along with me on that journey. But I won't have to plant those until the fall because I want them to come up in the spring. You can plant in early spring, but your chances of them coming up as soon, it's just not really. Whenever they're dormant over winter, they'll have a more likelihood of being a little bit more established in that soil, and so they might come up a little bit sooner. But I'm not totally sure on that. I've only done a bit of research. So we're planting bulbs because we want earlier blooms. I have an idea of where I want to put bulbs, so I can show you guys that real quick. At the end of every row, I'm thinking about boxing off a section and then just putting, tires don't fit. The tires are too big for these sections because these sections are only like 1.5 feet, 2 feet wide. So with that, we're just gonna put, instead of tires, we'll box it off, and then we'll try to lift up against the fence, and then that'll give us the ability to plant bulbs whatever bulbs we want, and if we don't like how they bloom, we can pick them out and put them somewhere else. Instead of putting them in our soil into our areas that we keep for annuals, I would prefer to have them in their own specific spots, and then if I don't like them, I can move them around or whatever. But I think that's my plan for right now. I'm just sticking with these tires because they work good and they fit in the space very nicely. But for now, that's my plan, so let's get these bulbs covered. So that is the plan for the bulbs and the hardy annuals. Not too much to it. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory. If you want to do the research on it, I highly suggest it. I don't know everything, but this is just the research that I've done on it. Basically, I want to be able to get blooms longer than I could with just annuals. So that's why we're planting bulbs today, and maybe planting hardy annuals later in the year. But I hope you guys will stick around for that and learn something from here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little spring update with the quail eggs and eggs in the incubator. All the hens are doing good, we're doing good, and we're very excited for gardening here on our channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.